As human beings, we are driven by curiosity. We constantly explore the world around us, from the depths of the oceans to the reaches of outer space. Now, satellites offer a new type of exploration. We are able to observe our planet from outer space. In 2006, Denmark sent a ship on a round-the-world expedition. Galathea 3's mission was to explore the world's oceans and the life it sustains from pole to pole. For the duration of the trip, satellite technology provided information essential to navigation and the avoidance of adverse weather conditions, and helped to unveil some of our planet's final secrets. Secrets of a world where plant and wildlife are threatened by the new conditions brought about by climate change. Satellites are providing researchers with information that will give them a better understanding of the interaction of plant and wildlife and the climate of the Earth. Hundreds of thousands of kilometers out in space, orbiting satellites sweep the Earth's surface day and night, year-round. Using radar measuring technology and recording visible and infrared light images, the satellites monitor the Earth's ice and algae development. Galathea 3 set sail from Denmark on course for Greenland. From there, the ship sailed through the Azores and down the African coast, passing Australia before reaching Antarctica. The ship continued further, passing South America's west coast and sailing through the Panama Canal before returning home across the Atlantic. During the year-long voyage, the ship sailed from pole to pole. Thanks to satellite navigation technology, the ship was able to detect and avoid adverse weather conditions. However, close to the Azores, the ship did encounter heavy winds. A hurricane suddenly changed course toward the good ship and the expedition members on board. But thanks to accurate weather information, they were able to reach port safely. A weather satellite can measure temperature, humidity, and cloud coverage from a height of 36,000 kilometers. The satellites that orbit closer to the Earth record the most detailed images and, combined with the images from the geostationary satellites, provide an overall view of developing weather conditions. Despite having this technology at their fingertips, the researchers still used weather balloons several times during the voyage to gather information. Because they orbit at heights of between 836,000 kilometers, satellite meteorology still depends on small amounts of estimation, generalization, and guesswork. Balloons may look a little old-fashioned, but they accurately measure air pressure, temperature, and humidity on the spot. This precise atmospheric information can be used to fine-tune the data from the satellite. In time, this will provide more accurate weather forecasting for everyone. Off the coast of Africa, the time came to do research on one of the sea's most threatened species, the giant turtle. However, it's almost impossible to spot a sea turtle in the water. The only visible feature is the turtle's head, which periodically reaches above the surface of the water, but is not much larger than a seagull. So when the ship lookout finally spots something he deems to be of interest, the sea turtle alarm is sounded.
Yes, sir!
Så vi har en vi skal lave en mindre harnes til den. Det skal fandme gå stærkt med at lave en mindre harnes. Den er så meget lille, den der. For satan!
The turtles are known to swim thousands of kilometers in the open oceans. But the researchers would like to track the turtles' course. To do so, they attach a satellite transmitter to those turtles they catch. The researchers hope to become more effective in their protection of the species by gaining information about the turtles' movements throughout the oceans. Many times during the voyage, satellite technology has helped the expedition to evade adverse weather conditions. But as the ship approaches the South Pole, giant icebergs pose a greater threat. However, if the crew combine their own observations with the data from the satellites, they will be able to avoid any collision.
Her under Galathea-togtet, der har vi sejlet steder, hvor der har været is, både ved Grønland, men også ved Antarktis. Der har vi så haft et hjælpemiddel i form af satellitbilleder, som vi har downloadet. Her har vi et billede af den nordlige del af den antarktiske halvø. Det her det er få timer gamle billeder. Og det er selvfølgelig vigtigt, fordi isen den er meget dynamisk, den ligger ikke stille, den flytter sig med vind og vejr.
The satellite imagery not only shows where the ice is, but also its type. Because the images are recorded using radar, the crew can see if the surface is covered by algae or snow, and most importantly, the thickness of the ice.
Herover har vi formentlig et stort isfjeld, og et stort isfjeld her også, og her også. Og det indikerer altså, at der er is i hele området, så vi skal være opmærksom på, at isen kan være en forhindring for vores sejlads.
By examining satellite imagery of the planet's ice coverage over long periods of time, researchers also get an indication of how severe the consequences of global warming are for the Antarctic region. Life here is so delicate that even minute changes in temperature can have enormous consequences. Marine life in the southerly part of the region thrives in the freezing temperatures. The effects that global warming would have in this polar region are not yet known. One of the main aims of the expedition is to record the types of marine life found in the region. The researchers will also examine the penguin's food source and the feasibility that a satellite positioned 600 kilometers above the Earth's surface can accurately monitor temperature change. But in order to find out what penguins in the area eat, we have to do some researching here on Earth. In other words, we have to collect and examine feces from the animals.
Ja, de er vanskelige.
Luckily, the climate doesn't change from day to day. Fish stocks are still abundant, and the penguins can easily provide for their young. Maybe with strains of fish discovered by the Galathea expedition. The ship is heading for warmer climes. The coast of Chile in South America. Cold, nutrient-rich water wells up from the depths, creating an environment rich in biodiversity. The enormous concentration of algae that thrive here can be seen from space.
Før vi bevæger os ind i et farvand, så er det ret fint at kunne bruge det her satellite til at finde ud af, hvordan ser havet ud, hvor mange alger er der i, hvor varmt er det, og hvordan ser bølgehøjden ud. Og det kan man gøre ved at gå ind på satellite Eye, og der laver de simpelthen et satellitbillede af de områder, vi kommer til, som viser koncentrationen af algerne i havet. Og det er ret smart i forhold til, hvor vi skal ligge vores stationer. Og der kan man se, at der er ret stor variation i, hvor de her alger de befinder sig.
In theory, one should be able to see by the satellite images how much algae there is in a given area, because the color change and depth of color in the water indicates the amount and the density of the algae. But the color scale in the satellite imagery can only be used if the researchers have taken water samples on the same day at preferably the same time. In return, the imagery can also be used to measure the density of the algae in the wider region surrounding the test area.
Så på den måde så har vi faktisk et rimelig godt overblik over, hvordan det ser ud omkring os, også, og ikke kun der, hvor vi samler vand op.
Algae provide food for a wide range of marine life. but are also crucial to scientists when measuring global warming. Just like trees, algae absorb carbon dioxide and emit oxygen. But it's unknown how much carbon dioxide the algae can absorb. Comparing the CO2 content of the water with the CO2 content of the air gives an indication of how much carbon dioxide the algae has absorbed. Excessive amounts of carbon dioxide are considered to be responsible for global warming, so the results are a crucial part of the research.
Og i dag der bruger man jo faktisk satellitbilleder til at lave et globalt estimat på primærproduktionen, som er altså hvor meget algerne de producerer, som så igen kan bruges til at finde ud af hvor meget CO2 de optager fra atmosfæren og putter ned i havet.
The ship has set course for the Galapagos Islands in South America, an important location in the history of science. The islands are so isolated that life here has developed autonomously for 5 to 10 million years. It was birds from the Galapagos that first led Charles Darwin to his groundbreaking theory of evolution. The island's unique animal and plant life attract armies of tourists from around the globe. This constant invasion is a threat to the island's delicate ecosystem. However, another kind of invasion even more threatening to the island's flora and fauna is underway. Imported animals and plants are gradually eradicating the existing indigenous population. The unwanted plants and animals are known as the invasive species, one of the least desirable being the quinine tree.
So right now here we have the invasion on a big scale. So we can see this is the area that the National Park has been working, controlling, but here we have the quinine tree. And at the same time we have the endemic Miconia, which is underneath, and it seems it has been affected by the tree because of the shade and the canopy. It seems the Miconia is not tolerant to the shade.
On the island of Santa Cruz, the quinine tree is outmatching the indigenous fern and Miconia bushes. In order to quell the advance of the quinine tree, the affected area should first be mapped. This can of course be done manually on foot, but with satellite imagery, the mapping is done automatically. Peter Brugger is an expert in high-definition satellite mapping. He's come to the Galapagos to help the island's rangers with their satellite mapping. Satellite images from the highland areas have indicated that the quinine tree was beginning to outgrow the indigenous vegetation. It's time to find out if the specialists have interpreted the images correctly.
So we have the distinct red areas on the satellite image, and that apparently is this fern, which is an endemic
native fern.
Native,
it's native,
course, yes, So it's quite amazing that this fern has a distinct spectral signature.
Finally, the researchers reach their destination and can examine the situation firsthand.
75% of ferns, it will be detected.
Maybe you can go higher.
The experts now have to locate the areas of quinine tree, Miconia and fern and plot their location using GPS. This will enable them to locate the areas on the satellite images.
I think we could make a measurement here.
Here,
Should be a good place.
All plants reflect sunlight in their own characteristic way. The reflected light waves are picked up by the satellite and converted into colours. In turn, these colours then have to be converted, illustrating the actual situation on the ground.
I suggest we could start with the Miconia in the cleared area.
Back at the Darwin Research Centre, Peter and Jorge feed the information into a computer. When working with satellite images, where one pixel represents a square metre, it's not possible to see individual plants. However, by comparing the imagery with the data from the day's research, the specialists are able to approximate how many quinine trees there are, even in areas they haven't accessed. It has taken 258 days for the ship to travel 42,000 kilometers. The Galathea expedition has visited countries and investigated oceans stretching from pole to pole. In all, 500 researchers have taken part in the expedition for varying lengths of time. And for the duration of the trip, satellites orbiting high in space have supported this scientific quest.